Hi, this is Lisa Piper with miracleofdeliverance.com, and I'm talking about 10 mistakes that will land you in error. Number 5 is nocturnal owl. I'm not so sure the one on this picture is nocturnal, but most owls are nocturnal. Nocturnal means done, occurring, or active at night. It's pretty well known that there are a lot of things that happen at night. Covens that meet and have rituals at night. There are satanic rituals at night. There are adulteress and perversion that happens during the day as well. There are a lot of people that come that awake in the middle of the night and under attack. So we want to be careful that we are not nocturnal owls. Now, those of you that have a Simon Peter-like mentality that like to jump out of the boat first probably aren't going to like what I have to say about this. But I hope you'll pay attention. This is going to save you some mistakes and error if you'll listen. Okay, we do not go on rescue missions at night. Do we really want to leave our families and go chase someone down at 2 a.m.? Here's what I mean by this. I have heard so many stories of somebody calling a minister 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning saying so-and-so is manifesting. And sometimes it's like more of the stranger physical manifestations from screaming to whatever. And so they call a minister because they need them and they run out at night, leaving their families and leaving their posts. Now, one thing is when you're a minister, many times you are very busy during the day and you're tired and you need your rest. And I'm not saying not to help people, but there will be error when you think that you are absolutely necessary. Jesus can heal and set the people free all by himself. Now, if you were the enemy, would it not be a good idea to take charge of who is setting the captive free? If you're not careful, every time you plan something important, somebody's going to start manifesting and you're going to be needed. So this course is a warning for you. Do not think this won't happen, but you do need to know how to respond. I love the ministry and I love helping people. So it's difficult for me when somebody calls at 3 a.m. So-and-so's acting up. We need you here right now. First of all, why are they out at this time of the morning? And secondly, I believe that we can go on wild goose chases that do not glorify God. So maybe there may be something that is an emergency that occurs. If that happens, I would say that do not try this alone, but you need to talk with someone in authority and make sure you're not just getting sucked into something that you don't need to be in. I have a recommendation. This may not be something that, if you're listening to this and you don't go to our church, I do not meet people in your home for deliverance. There's some reasons why. One is because of the authority issue, is making sure that you're in line with the authority of whatever covering that you have. Two, I don't like to bring that into my household. I like to keep my household as a place of peace, a place I can worship, a place I can go to rest. So I don't do that there. And I don't typically want people prowling around my homes. Also, I do not want to pray with people by myself. So I don't practice that, and I do not like for my team to do that as well. Now, have been some times that I make house calls. That's not a normal thing. That's a thing that I will do when the Lord directs me to do it. Number 2, know that there are people who would rather have you cast out something because it's easy rather than take the effort to cast down their own imaginations. Now, what I mean by that is um, deliverance is a wonderful thing. I mean, I have seen people quit smoking immediately, lust goes immediately, love addictions to sugar, addictions to drugs, just every kind of bondage leave immediately. And so it really is easy. If your problem is demonic instead of physical, then or fleshly, then you can use the authority of Jesus and get rid of it. And sometimes people will need to renew their mind in the word, but they won't. They'll just want to cast something out. So if somebody says to you, I have forgiven everybody and I have been delivered from rejection, but I just do not like so and so. and I need you to cast that out of me. No, you need to get a hold of your flesh, seek the Lord, and get the word in you is what you need to do. And I think it was Robert Morris that said, you cannot cast out the flesh and you cannot disciple a demon. And we need to know the difference. I do not recommend going on unauthorized expeditions. Jesus sent his people out in teams, and the key words are he sent them out and they were a team. So we don't do the Lone Ranger thing in this ministry. Now, what happens if someone calls you and they are manifesting in the middle of the night or in the day, or let's say that you're worshiping in the church and all of the eyes are on Jesus and someone begins to manifest? The typical response is people want to quit worshiping, quit adoring the Lord, and focus on this. I have a concern that the enemy could be stirring someone up for a diversion. So if that is the case, you can easily bind whatever's going on and you can trust the Lord. For example, if someone is manifesting with screaming or frothing or whatever, you can say, I bind you, deaf and dumb spirit, or I bind you, spirit of anger. If you don't know what it is, I bind whatever is acting out right now. I command you to be quiet and be bound and stay that way in the name of Jesus. And then go on with what you're doing, and you can handle that later. We have to remember we are not the saviors of the world, Jesus is. So sometimes we'll want to just go and do the tiger pounce and pounce on someone when it may be a situation where it's just acting out to get our attention. Now, there are times I will often look up to my pastor if somebody comes in and they need some attention like that, and if he gives me the go ahead, then I'll go over and address that, or get a team and address that. We just have to be smart. If we're walking into a trap, is avoid it. If you ever want to hide the fact that you are ministering privately, this is a sign that you're in trouble. We don't do things in the dark. The enemy always entices a person to the darkness for entrapment. Now, one of my live classes, somebody said, I don't know what you mean by that. So let me tell you, if you feel like that somebody needs ministry, but you don't want to tell your pastor or your director, you're going to hide and do it, you have already happened upon a trap and you are almost in it, if not in it. We don't do things in the dark. If my pastor says, Lisa, I don't want you ministering from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., I'm not going to minister from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. But let's say that something really important happens and somebody I really want to minister to, it comes available. And the only time I can do it is 3:30. And I think, I don't want to ask him because he's going to say no. If I go ahead and do that in the dark and hide it, I am already in error and I am in for a lot of trouble. So we do not want to do ministry in the dark. Now, if there's a situation where ministry is needed, we need to be wise and seek counsel. So if he said, do not do this between 3 and 6, and something really traumatic happened, I might call him and say, Pastor, you told me not between 3 and 6, but this is a situation. And if he says no, then I just don't do that thing. Next up is the performing peacock.